I am back. It's a new day, and my AI power has been restored. Now I can go ahead and begin with the knockout stages. And my gosh, wow, we're finally in this stage after what, 3 weeks of pure group stage of games that were all over the place, games that were on the borderline of being crazy, man. Wow, we're finally here. This one, the good, where the fun parts start, where teams are fighting, playing to stay in and fighting for their lives. But just before we dive in, let me go ahead and do a bit of foreplay with y'all. Let's go ahead and go over the third place teams that qualified, because I didn't do that in the previous video, and the teams that did not qualify. So teams that qualified: the DR Congo, Sweden, Ecuador, Ghana, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Algeria, Paraguay, and Senegal was the only team that qualified with 3 points, and they qualified by the skin of their teeth thanks to that 5-0 victory that they put up against Iraq. Now, teams that got disqualified: Iran, who were damn near close to qualifying yesterday, of course, with the whole Algeria versus Austria game that Algeria simply couldn't finish the job, and it ends up sending Iran back home, sadly. Of course, they've gone through a lot of stuff, and I mean, it's still an accomplishment to be so close to going into the next round. And on top of that, they were also so close. Of course, they got that offside goal and that post in the last probably 10 minutes of the game. So it's got to be heartbreaking for Iran. South Korea, I already, in the final, in one of the group recaps and one of the reckonings, I already talked about South Korea. An embarrassing World Cup for them. They deserve to go out just by the mere fact that they underestimated Mexico, and they also underestimated South Africa. But it's still sad. We love South Korea. I love South Korea. I love Taemin Lee, Heung-min Bo, of course Heung-min Son as well. So it's sad to see them go. Scotland, I think it was their first World Cup in like 30 years, and they go ahead and get eliminated. They just got clapped up by a Brazilian side that was there to take out the job. And even if they didn't get clapped up, they would have still gotten eliminated. And of course, Uruguay, all the way in last place of the table with -1 goal difference and only 2 points, only being able to tie to Cabo Verde and Saudi Arabia. What an embarrassing World Cup that they have had. Of course, now we can go ahead and dive into the games. Germany versus Paraguay is going to be our first one. I think Germany are going to handle this pretty well. Paraguay, of course, did an incredible stuff, beating Turkey and getting a draw up against an Australian side that had beaten this Turkey side 2-0. But yeah, Germany just simply looked like a well-oiled machine, and I don't think that they're going to struggle against this Paraguayan side. Next up, France versus Sweden. I think Sweden, offensively wise, they've shown a lot of character. They've looked incredibly well, and this is going to be a redemption arc for Tchouaméni if he goes ahead and starts. And for that midfield as a whole, I'm hoping Manu Kone is able to play and not Rabiot and Tchouaméni, because I really, like I've said in my previous video, I don't see this midfield working. So this is going to be a real test for Rabiot and hopefully Manu Kone to see how they're able to deal with a more offensive team than what they've been able to play. And of course, defensively, the Sweden side is extremely weak, and France just look in another level, in another stratosphere. I think France, well, I'm sure France is going to be able to get through this match. Up next, South Africa versus Canada, the game that's going to be going on literally in a couple hours now. And they're going to be going up against a good goalkeeper in South Africa in Rodwin Williams. So it's going to be tough to score goals against them. And as we've seen against South Korea, this Canadian side is not going to have to be too comfortable. And we've seen some glaring issues that the Canadian defense has had, more importantly in the Switzerland game, where 2 mistakes led to 2 goals. So Canada's going to have to be careful. And on the South African side, they're simply going to have to come out with the same mentality that they came out against South Korea, that they came out against Czech Republic, a team that's not going to go ahead and play with their defense completely, because they're incredibly non-threatening if they just play that way. You have Apolis, you have Mofoken, Masoko, these players that out the wing, they're an absolute terror. And we're going to see the fullbacks. I think Alphonso Davies is going to be back, but I don't even know if they play him there. Laren, I think that's his name, for the Canadian left back, and the other right back that plays in Celtic. I personally think they've had pretty good World Cups, but my concern is the center back position. But we'll see. I have Canada going through in this game as well. Up next, Netherlands versus Morocco. And my gosh, this is the first just completely even game in this group stage. They're going to be playing tomorrow. And in my prediction, I have Morocco going through. And I'm going to stick with that. Of course, Netherlands, their attack, their midfield, their defense, they just look solid all around. And Morocco, I have a massive concern about the center back position. Do I think that this Netherlands side can beat this Morocco side? Of course I do. Like I said, they have a glaring issue with Diop and Ria. I mean, these guys are sometimes playing like they want to make Morocco lose when the entire team is cohesive. But quite frankly, I need to back Morocco. So I'm backing Morocco in this one. And I'm saying it ends early for Netherlands. Up next, Portugal versus Croatia. Now, Ronaldo, of course, he's my GOAT. But I am no way, shape, or form confident about this Portugal side. No point in the group stage, apart from Uzbekistan, did they look good. They didn't look good against DR Congo, and they didn't look good at all against Colombia. They got battered. They got lucky they didn't lose by more goals. But the only bright side that I can say about this Portuguese side is that we also saw in that game 0-0, and the last couple minutes, you got Leao, who almost scored, and you got players that in a split second, they can go ahead and choose to play and end up scoring a goal. On the other hand, you got Croatia, who I think their midfield is truly what we expect the Portuguese midfield to be. They play very fluid football. They play very positionless football, and they can tear apart a back line or a low block, which I think is what Portugal is going to be playing. I do think this Croatian side is going to have most of the ball, but I think this Portuguese side is going to come out the same way that England came out against Croatia. Now, England had just clinical players on the wings and midfield, and of course Harry Kane was on one today, or on that day. So I can't count that Portugal is going to have that. I can't count that Leao is going to be clinical on the day. I can't count Ronaldo and Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto's never clinical on the day. So this is a tough one, but I think it's very possible that Croatia goes through. The only issue is their defense has to lock up because they've had 3 poor games. They haven't looked convincing defensively. But Portugal, I'm being completely honest, I don't see any bright spots. That midfield is not playing like they want to be in the World Cup. The attack, with or without Ronaldo, it's toothless. And the only good thing that I can see on this Portuguese side is the defense and the goalkeeper. So I'm gonna have Portugal going through, but I'm in no way, shape, or form confident about this game. Up next, Spain versus Austria. Austria, of course, the ganging pressing. They're gonna go out, try and get on Spain, not let them play comfortably. But Spain, they thrive on these situations. We know what happened with Turkey, and although Spain hasn't looked convincing in the group stage as well, I think they're gonna take this one home. So I got Spain going through. In this one, the United States versus Bosnia-Herzegovina. Bosnia-Herzegovina, they have a couple ballers, but I've said this point multiple times. They remind me a lot of a Czech Republic, but they actually have 2 or 3 ballers. And the United States, they disposed of Australia, they disposed of Paraguay. 2 teams that thrive on counterattacking, that thrive off of holding pressure and soaking in pressure. And they just like having the ball at their feet. They rather just play on the counterattack. So I think the US is gonna be able to pass through this Bosnia-Herzegovina side and find themselves in the round of 16. Belgium versus Senegal. I don't know how to feel about this game, if hyped or if to feel deflated, because what I'm seeing in these 2 teams, I am seeing 2 different, we're seeing a European version of Uruguay and an African version of Uruguay. 2 teams that just seem completely to have no positions, 2 teams that look lost in the pitch. A Belgium side that, of course, ended up qualifying in first place, but in those first couple games, they just looked like they weren't clicking at all. And on top of that, defensively, these guys, I don't even... this defense is absolutely dreadful. And on the Senegalese side, of course, like I said, there's all of these stuffs that are going on outside of the pitch, but they still have ballers who have been able to put incredible performances. Ismail Assar, who's put great performances against France, Norway, and Iraq. And if NDI is able to play, that's another player that this Belgian side was going to go ahead and struggle. I got Senegal going through in this game because, like I said, both teams have their struggles defensively. Both teams have their struggles on the midfield as well. The attack is just, there's so much more options for Senegal going forward. And the defense as a whole, I think it's way worse from this Belgium side. All they have is Courtois guarding them. Moving on, Brazil versus Japan. This is going to be a very tough match as well. This game, Brazil, they haven't looked particularly convincing. It's kind of just been the Vini show. But sometimes in the World Cup, you just need that one player. You need a mid-team and that one player that can break a game on his own. And I think Vini is in that form of his life. Japan are a very difficult side. They're gonna, the wingers are quite quick, quite techy. And I quite frankly have not been convinced with the fullbacks from Brazil. They've shown that they've been struggling quite a bit. I can't think of anybody who played well on the fullback. Maybe the left back, but the right back, they've been rotating in Danilo, the other guy. So I'm not convinced with them there, and in the midfield as well. They still haven't found their perfect midfield. I think this Japanese midfield is gonna run circles around the Brazilian midfield. But what do I think the approach for this Brazilian side should be? I think they should come out and give Japan the ball, because they don't have a midfield to play around this Japanese side. And Jonathan Paqueta or Neymar being that player that can put the final ball into a Ryan, Acuna, or a Vinicius Jr. and hope that they're able to break through this Japanese side. Because Japan is pretty good defensively, but we saw some major holes in that defense, some major issues when they played up against Sweden. I mean, Isak was really tearing apart this Japanese back line, and hopefully Vinicius Jr., he's on 110% and he's ready to go at them. So just by that fact, this one's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Brazil because I love Vini. Other than that, this is gonna be a very tight game. And talking about tight games, Ivory Coast versus Norway. What a banger of a game. Two attacks that I really like, but Norway, who have Erling Haaland, the best striker in the world at the moment. He is an absolute monster up against an Ivorian defense that honestly looks quite solid. My concern about Ivory Coast is the depth in that. I think Singo is going to be injured, so they're going to be playing Doué. And I don't really have a concern. My concern with this Ivorian side is the depth that they have. Midfield-wise, they have absolutely nobody. You're going to have to play Owaina, Sangare, and Kessie the full 90 minutes because Fofana is absolutely horrendous. And on the same route, I think that's going to be the case for the backline as well. So they're going to have to do a lot of physical, just going through it, just getting through the 90 minutes. And I mean, this is the first game of the World Cup, so I expect that. And up top, my only issue is that nobody is able to finish. Absolutely nobody. Diomande can generate as many opportunities. Nicolas Pepe can generate as many opportunities as they want, but quite simply, they're not finishing. While on the other hand, we got an issue of creating for Haaland. I know it's crazy. Haaland goes ahead and has, I think, 4 goals in this World Cup so far, and there's an issue of him, of the midfield creating. Yes, the reality is that Haaland basically created all his opportunities. The only one that I can think of that was actually not generated by Haaland was probably the pass that Odegaard gave to him up against Senegal. That was an absolutely incredible ball. But other than that, Odegaard hasn't done much, Nusa has done nothing, and Sorloth is another, he's basically the referee out there. He's not doing anything for this Norwegian side. So the question is, will the rest of the team, with the rest of the Norwegian team, step up and give Haaland what he needs to do? I don't know. I think we've seen a lot more from this Ivorian coach. We've seen Nicolas Pepe, we've seen Diomande step up. That's at least 2 players that have stepped up compared to just 1 in this Norwegian side. And on top of that, I think Norway's defense is not the best, but they seem to struggle a lot with target man. And this Ivorian Coast team does not have a target man. So it's going to be a tight game, but I'm going ahead and back Ivory Coast in this one. Up next, Mexico versus Ecuador. This is a tough match for Mexico, in my opinion. Of course, I don't think there's going to be much of a threat from this Ecuadorian side because they simply cannot finish to save their lives, and they can barely generate. And Ivory Coast, the way that they were able to beat this Ecuadorian side was by having a player like Diomande absolutely tearing apart Hincapié. Do we have a player like that? Quiñones? No, we simply don't. So we're gonna have to depend a lot on Brian Gutierrez, on Gilberto Mora, on the midfield and the wingers connecting and combining a lot to break through that defensive side from Ecuador. But I truly think we can actually beat this Ecuadorian side, and I hope we can. So I have us going through in this game, England versus DR Congo. This is going to be a very similar for England against Ghana. And England, even though they tied, they had a couple opportunities. And like I said before, it's going to depend on moments. Harry Kane is just going to have to be on one. Jude Bellingham is going to be on one, have to be on one. Declan Rice is going to have to be on one. And that's kind of what it's going to count for this English side. DR Congo, on the other hand, we saw against Colombia, they can't deal with pressure quite well. They get suffocated, and you got to have a good back line. And I don't even know if Konsa is going to be playing, but I don't know if the two center backs, I think Geki is a good enough center back, but I don't know if John Stones or Konsa is going to be enough to stop DR Congo and nullify any potential counterattacking possibilities that come from long balls. But I think this England side has what it takes, and they're going to end up beating DR Congo. Argentina versus Cabo Verde. Cabo Verde have been an incredible revelation in the World Cup. Cabral, Borges, I think the two defenders on the left-hand side, they've been incredible. But now they're going to have to face players like Giuliano Simeone, Lionel Messi. So it's going to be hard work for this Cabo Verde side. And Argentina look ruthless, honestly. But they haven't really played any low blocks. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. We saw in the last World Cup that they struggled against Saudi Arabia, and they struggled up against Australia. So maybe they struggle against here, but I still think that with Messi there, with Lautaro Martinez looking a lot better, with the rest of the team seeming to pull their way up, I think Argentina is going to win this game. Up next, Australia versus Egypt. This is, I don't know, man. I don't know how this Australian side is going to come out, because I already talked about how pissed I am that this manager just refuses to play what works best for his team. And it's not me just, oh, I'm such a footballing brain. No, you look at the games, you saw what's happened with Turkey. You play Traore in Iracunda. You go and you play to the strength, sending the ball to Iracunda, not just aimlessly anywhere, or to Traore to lay it off to Iracunda, and you get 2 goals. Yet, in the following 2 games, he didn't start Iracunda and Traore at all. So I'm literally in this position where, what in the world is this manager doing? This guy, I think this Australian team has so much more potential than what this guy is letting out to be. Jordan Boss and the other right back that are bombing back and forth. They're very technical players, especially Jordan Boss. I love him. And I think they even have a solid midfield. So I'm hoping this Australian side plays a more with more purpose when it comes to counterattacking. Egypt, on the other hand, they seem to be playing a different brand of football. They like to have the ball a bit more. Now, what the game plan is going to be, I think Australia is going to continue to stick with their counterattacking football, and Egypt is going to be the ones to have the ball most of the time. Now, can they break this Australian backline? I don't know. And my concern is that the Egyptians, at least the center backs, they don't look convincing at all. I think an over-the-top ball to an Iracunda and Traore can cause major issues for this Egyptian side. And I think Australia is going to be the ones going through in this game, sadly, leaving Salah to go back home. Now, Switzerland versus Algeria. Let's go ahead and start about Algeria. I am not convinced with that back line at all. The goalkeepers are switching. It's no longer Zidane. Zidane was an absolute cone there. The other goalkeeper is an absolute cone as well. The back line, Ben Sebaini is their best defender. That should tell you levels of how this Algerian team is set up. Offensively wise, of course, they're very technical. They can cause a variety of issues like we saw up against Austria. But now they're going to be facing a Switzerland side that look quite solid all around the pitch. Do I think they're going to concede a goal? Yes, I do think they're going to concede the Switzerland side. Do I think they're going to be able to score more goals against this weak Algerian backline and against this weak goalkeeper, yes, Embolo is going to be an absolute monster up against this Algerian side. With his speed, he's going to be running in behind, and with how high this Algerian side seems to play, and even with Algeria playing a low block, I don't know how this Algerian side is able to stop an Embolo. And if you can't, they have Vargas and they got Masambi, who has been having an incredible tournament so far. So I think Switzerland are just going to do the job and go through to the next round. And finally, Colombia versus Ghana. This is going to be a very similar game to DR Congo versus Colombia. Now Ghana's going to have to learn from the mistakes that the DR Congo side had. And I don't even know if they can learn, because my gosh, I mean, they do have Thomas Partey, who's a lot better. He can move around the press that Colombia is going to exert on them. And Colombia are simply going to need to take their opportunities, because, of course, this Ghanaian side, they could easily hold on. Just if Colombia continue to miss, I don't see it out of the realm of possibility that one counterattack ends up being in a penalty or they end up scoring. But I think they got to continue playing the same way. They got to continue generating opportunities. I don't know if Luis Diaz is going to get locked up in this game. They're most likely going to be tag teaming him. So it's going to be down to John Arias, Amir Rodriguez, and of course Cordoba or Luis Suarez to finish those opportunities and to generate those opportunities. But I still have this Colombian side going through, and I hope they continue to play this football that they have blessed us with. But anyways, guys, here is my preview for the round of 32. That's going to be going on literally within a couple hours now. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all on the next video.